Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time on a Monday night. I hope everybody's week is off to a fantastic start. Certainly a lot to talk about in the world of local Tennessee sports. We got through the Vols in Alabama yesterday, spent 3 hours on that game today on the radio. But now it's time to turn our attention to a pretty interesting development. We haven't had one in a while on the new Titans Stadium that we are going to discuss. I was at Mayor John Cooper's press conference with Titans President Burke Nihill today. In fact, Mayor John Cooper is going to be on the radio show with me tomorrow, and we will go through a few more questions that I have about what this means, not just for the team, but for the city, of course, and for many of you who live in Middle Tennessee. I know a lot of you are out of town because this is an internet show, but a lot of you do live here in Middle Tennessee, and I think a lot of you have questions for the mayor about this plan that's getting ready to go through. So we're going to go point by point through the information that has been provided to us on the new Titans Stadium plan. You'll hear from Mayor John Cooper and Titans President Burke Nihill. And then we'll wrap things up with the Josh Gordon situation. I've been telling you guys for months. Didn't seem like many of you wanted to listen to me. This is not, a victory lap of any means. It's just an open forum to discuss what the Titans have to do or have done at receiver thus far. Before we get into tonight's programming, I need you guys to share this show on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. If you are on Facebook Live, like Karen O'Keefe or Jacob Hurd, you can share now to public, throw a like on the video if you would be so inclined, and get your Facebook friends involved in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. If you are on Twitter, please retweet the show. That's simply in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. If you are on YouTube, like Mark Jones or Christine Lind, we're happy to have you here. You can throw a like on the video. You can subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already on YouTube or on Twitch. And we would enjoy that. We would enjoy the opportunity for more of your friends to join us on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, or Twitch, wherever they are hanging out with us on a regular basis. Now that more of you have shared this show, we can go ahead and start it on a Monday night. Welcome into A to Z Sports Prime Time from the Superbook Sports Studios. I'm your host, Buck Rising, if you're new to the show, and I'm proud, as always, to be presented to you by the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com is where you go for your dream address without the stress. The Ashton team will put you in a position to succeed, of course, as they did for me at GaryAshton.com. You know that Superbook Sports allows you to take the fight to Vegas this football season, whether you're betting the NFL, like Monday Night Football between the Broncos and the Chargers, Nashville Predators back in action, and postseason baseball at your disposal. Superbook Sports is your place to gamble. TrueMav Fitness, where you go to get your fitness journey started, or where you go to continue to expand your fitness journey. No matter what your level of fitness is, TrueMav Fitness will put together a plan for you to make sure that you achieve your goals. More information and your first workout free at TrueMavFitness.com. And Two Rivers Ford, the best in the business when it comes to the car buying experience. 2023 model year Fords available right now at the dealership in Mount Juliet or online at TwoRiversFord.com. So there's a lot of different elements of this stadium today that were announced, and a lot of information that we still don't have. I think that for most people's concerns, one, there's obviously the situation, the question of who's funding it. And that is something that you'll hear Mayor John Cooper talk about in just a little bit. Where it's going to be located, which we know now, it will be just directly east of where Nissan Stadium is, where all those parking lots are. Tailgating, it sounds like, is going to be not possible for basically the next, 4 years as they try and meet their goal of August 2026 to get the team in, which of course would mean the preseason for the 2026 season. Now, and then there's the question of capacity, because the numbers that were floated out there, I think a lot of people had questions about, given that it is significantly smaller than what Nissan Stadium's current capacity is. But I think that, outside of the logistical things, there are some elements of this that I like. There are some elements of this that I don't like. And I think that a lot of you guys have questions about a variety of different things that hopefully we'll be able to give you some answers to tonight. Corey D. Jackson says, tailgating in the middle of Broadway. Well, yes, but also in this new plan, as you'll hear from Titans President Burke Nihill, They're giving the city back 66 acres of land that includes where Nissan Stadium is currently, which means theoretically that they would build out a retail, entertainment, food service, bar scene on the East Bank. So you don't even have to tailgate on Broadway, walk across the pedestrian bridge, and have that process be longer than it might otherwise be. It sounds like they are going to build out a unique circumstance around the campus of the new stadium, which will include the current Nissan Stadium site. So as we look at these different things, I want to start with your Two Rivers Ford take this evening. What percentage? Let's start with it this way. What is the biggest question that you have about the new Titans stadium plan? We will go through some bullet points that we have for you. You will hear Burke Nihill, the president of the team, address many of those questions momentarily. But what are the biggest questions that you have right now, or the biggest singular question? And we'll get to as many as humanly possible. Your Two Rivers Ford take, as is always the case on a primetime evening. It's presented by Two Rivers Ford. The 2023 model year Fords are out and available at Two Rivers Ford. And as always, you can count on Two Rivers to make purchasing a 2023 Ford fast, easy, and fun. So many ways for you to shop. You can go to the dealership in Mount Juliet. It's just about 6-7 miles east of Nashville International Airport. You can call one of their non-commissioned salespeople on the phone. The number's real easy. 1-800-900-1000. 1-800-900-1000. It doesn't get easier than that. Or you can head to tworiversford.com to check out their inventory and custom order the exact Ford that you desire. Whether it's an F-150, a Bronco, an Explorer, Escape, or Expedition, Two Rivers Ford will make sure that you get exactly what you want for a price that is well below MSRP. So reach out to Two Rivers Ford today and see for yourself what everybody's talking about. Two Rivers Ford, powered by Ford, driven by people. So your Two Rivers Ford take is this. What is the biggest question that you have about the stadium at this point? Albert Mark says, my biggest question is if the $2.1 billion budget is realistic. SoFi ended up doubling the budget. Now, I don't recall, Albert, and I don't have the information at my disposal, what the initial projections on SoFi was. It may have, in fact, doubled the estimates, but SoFi was a much different undertaking than what they are planning to do. SoFi Stadium, the capacity that they have right now as we watch this Chargers-Broncos game, it's 10,000 seats bigger than what the Titans are seeking to build, and nearly between 10 and 15,000 seats bigger of a stadium that they are looking to build. This is a much different kind of situation than SoFi is. SoFi was funded by the Kroenke ownership group, which also includes Walmart money, because Stan Kroenke is married to a member of the Walton family, who, of course, are the founders of Walmart, who also, by the way, own one of the teams who is playing tonight in the Denver Broncos. It's a different kind of funding that a lot of that they were able to shoulder unto themselves. So in the sense that maybe it doubled its original budget, they didn't necessarily have the same kind of budget constraints that the city of Nashville has obviously put in place on the Titans, and that the Titans will have unto themselves, because they are not Walmart money. They are not, they're not Broncos, they're not Rams, they're not who else is they're not the Dallas Cowboys, right? These big budget, multi-billion-dollar teams. I mean, the Titans would sell for probably somewhere in the area of, if the Broncos went for 4.5, 4.6, Titans would probably go for somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.5 to $3 billion. It's still a valuable commodity, of course, an NFL team, but it's not the same level of investment that the Waltons and the Kroenkes had at their disposal. Now, the money situation that they do have, has been funded and approved by the state of Tennessee. It will still have to be approved by Metro Council here in Nashville, but the city and the team have agreed in principle to making this decision go forward as is presently constructed. And I want you to hear from Burke Nihill about the stadium itself, because we'll get to the budgetary situation and the variety of different things, PSLs, I know people have questions about. But as to the stadium itself, I do think it's important to hear from Team President Bert Nyhill.
We are not trying to build the most opulent building that has been built. It is not our ambition to be a feature-rich building. We are trying to build the smartest building, one that can be built on budget and one that will make Nashville and Tennessee proud for decades and decades to come.
So in the longer version of that answer, and that was from the press conference today, which I was in attendance for, he went into a circumstance about between 55,000 and 60,000 seats, which he said, before you ask, it is up to NFL standards. The franchise has obviously talked to the NFL about that because that is consistently smaller than a lot of stadiums that they have. We mentioned it will be built directly east of Nissan Stadium. They'll play in the current building until the new building is finished. And we have talked about the idea that the budget constraints on the city of Nashville, the Davidson County taxpayer themselves, where the Nashville General Fund has been on the hook for consistent maintenance of this building. By result of the new deal, the Titans are waiving $32 million in maintenance fees that the city was going to be on the hook for anyway regarding Nissan Stadium, because they're saying, okay, if you're gonna give us the new deal, if you're going to work with us on this situation, we're going to let you off the hook for a lot of these things that you are currently under contract for till, I believe, under the current lease, 2036, which is still a considerable amount of time, right? That's 14 more years under this situation. The biggest question that I personally had, because Albert Mark says, yeah, where are my seats going to be now? Well, that has been addressed by the team, and they put out this email today regarding season ticket holders because they wanted people, obviously that's a question that a lot of people wanted to know about. The situation for the PSLs and for the season ticket holders is as they look at this, there will be a first opportunity for current PSL holders to purchase new PSLs at a different rate. There will be credits associated with current PSL holders towards new PSLs because there will need to be the purchase of new PSLs. Now, as to where your seats will be located specifically, that I think is a premature question, even though it is a fair question to ask. We're 4 years away from that. And obviously they'll start, ramping up the sales for this thing. Once they have officially broken ground, they'll start selling hard on it because, it's nearly a $3 billion project, and they're going to need to fund it themselves. The team is in a much different way than they have had to in the past because now they are on the hook for a lot more for cost overruns on the initial budget, for if there is a windfall, if they have a situation where they fall short of their yearly budgetary situation, the Titans are going to be on the hook for that. They are going to host, or they plan to host, upwards of 60 events a year in that stadium, which means that grass will not be possible. You will have to use turf because they will need to pack that stadium on a regular basis full of events that you just simply cannot do and maintain a grass field the way that they have done in years past. They will need to do it at a much more frequent rate. And of course, that will take the maintenance of the grass field out of the question, which of course the players are going to hate. But I think that all the different things. Carl Washington says, wait, the new stadium has less seats than the current one? Hell yes. And in fact, I'm surprised they didn't go lower. Now I'm certain that the NFL has I do know that the NFL has a certain capacity requirement for these kind of things. And let's talk about the new stadium capacity here in just a second, right after I tell you that the place that you need to go to get the Intel Edge to succeed is the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage. GaryAshton.com is where you go for the Intel Edge you need in this Nashville real estate market. Tonight we're doing Stadium Intel. Gary's got the Stadium Intel because he's in the real estate business here in Middle Tennessee. He's the official real estate agent of the Nashville Predators. He's the official real estate agent of me. I got my home through the Ashton team almost 4 years ago, and I could not be happier with the way that they have maximized my initial investment. They can do the same for you and help you sell for more at the Ashton Real Estate Group of RE/MAX Advantage at GaryAshton.com. So to the capacity question, this is fit between 55 and 60,000 is what they are looking at now. Now, an initial, now that would make them the smallest stadium, I believe, currently operating in the NFL. And I will tell you why that is an absolute necessity for them to do. There is not a greater demand for Titans games right now. There's not a greater demand for live events. College football does things differently. You can sell out 102,000 seats for Neyland Stadium this Saturday against UT Martin because the Vols are back, like Phil Fulmer said a couple of years ago, and they're out for a piece of everybody's ass. College football is different that way. You do not have to worry about capacity necessarily or interest or intrigue necessarily in the same way that NFL teams do. You're not competing. NFL is competing directly with its own product, whether it be Sunday Ticket, whether it be the Red Zone, where they have made it so much easier to consume all of the games at once from the comfort of your own home. The NFL, in doing these things, has said to themselves, okay, we are not in the business of building bigger stadiums. It is not good for optics where there's empty seats. Lucas Oil, so Allegiant Stadium, SoFi is different because, they're seeking to host, they're going to have Olympics. They're going to have World Cup. They're going to have all manner of different things that Nashville's current stadium obviously is not going to have. Now, you look at, for example, the situation in Vegas where they went 65,000. That was still smaller than the old Coliseum's capacity was. You look at Lucas Oil, which is currently, I believe, around 70, and that was built, I think, almost between 10 and 15 years ago, I think, at this point. But Allegiant is never full, right? Allegiant is at 65, and it's never full at this point because you don't have the embedded fan base yet. You are not getting that many more people from out of town just because you are in Las Vegas, and there's a million other things to do in Las Vegas on a Sunday. That would, that you're competing with your own sports books again. I think if the Raiders did it over again with the information that we all have now, they would probably make a smaller stadium, even as they are a larger market team. For the city of Nashville, you can host Super Bowls. You can host WrestleMania. You can host all these different kind of events while still being able to make a larger capacity crowd. The Titans have just gotten to the point in the last couple of years where they're pitching sellouts. And that really only felt like it feels like it only might be last season that they would be able to do that with a capacity crowd of, I think they're just under 70,000 as Nissan Stadium's current construction is it consists of, right? And they it's a rare thing that they're able to do that. It's a significant event. Right? That's a whole kind of different milestone that the franchise has not been able to achieve in quite some time. I think the more that you look at this, the more that you have to come to terms with the idea, yes, it is going to drive prices up to go to a Titans game because it will be a more exclusive ticket. Now, it's not necessarily, to go down in capacity between 10 and 15,000 isn't a large amount in the grand scheme of things, but it obviously will drive the price up. It'll make it more of an event. It'll make it harder for people to go to. So more people will want it because supply will be lower. Demand will go up if the product is worth consuming. So I think that, to understand why they are doing this, the NFL is behind this. The NFL is actively for teams that are not Los Angeles, New York, these mega market teams, which Nashville is not one of. Nashville is a top 50 media market. And among the 32 NFL teams, probably, between 25 and 32 on its best day. I think that there is a lot of different reasons why they will do this. And also because they're taking away affordable seats for more luxury suite capacity, which is ultimately what the ownership wants because it's a higher revenue generator. It's what the NFL wants for their corporate sponsors to be able to host a Super Bowl. It's not about how you can fill the place with football fans come the Super Bowl. It's how many different people who are spending, between anywhere from probably on the high end, $20,000 to, north of $1,000 for one singular event, because this is a different plane that we're operating on. The Super Bowl will inevitably come to Nashville now. It'll be good for local business. It'll be good for the hotel industry, the service industry. It will be good for the local economy on the whole, not just the Super Bowl, the Final Four, the college football playoff, perhaps. You look at other different things that will now be tied into this, and it will be a significant boost as the city continues to grow and grow in a smarter way, which was John Cooper's point today. I think that if you continue to think that the NFL should be expanding the way, then you're just not really paying attention to the landscape for the NFL right now. I've been to games at SoFi. The Rams nor the Chargers sell that building out. I've been to Mile High where the Broncos play. It is rare that you see a capacity crowd. I have covered every game at Nissan Stadium for the last 6 seasons, and I have seen only one season where they have consistently pitched sellouts throughout the course of a year. It's just not feasible at this point. I do believe that turf takes them out of the running for the World Cup in future events, something to keep in mind. I do think that that is a part of the loss. And of course, the roof situation, where it does appear like like it is going to be a retractable roof situation. But that is not, based on my understanding of the details of this, that is not something that they have committed to as thoroughly as they have committed to the rest of these things. Obviously, TSU is going to play football games there. You're going to have all kinds of different events throughout the course of the year regarding this, and it is going to be a significant city of Nashville, not state, but city of Nashville financial burden that is alleviated. You'll still see it in your state taxes, but that's not what Metro Nashville is concerned about. Metro Nashville is concerned about not raising property taxes, raising local taxes for the purposes of funding this stadium. And that, under this current plan, even though you'll see it in your state taxes, is something that they can theoretically say that they've accomplished. So let's move on to the timeline for this, because they are targeting August of 2026, which would mean the preseason of the 2026 season. That's less than 4 years away right now. That's a pretty tall task. So I want to ask you guys, what percentage chance of getting this thing done in August of 2026 do you give the Titans in the city of Nashville? Let's put a number on it. What percentage chance do you think this deal will get done? Let me know on Facebook, on YouTube, on Twitter, and on Twitch. We will discuss at length together right after I remind you that Superbook Sports is your place to get in on the action this football season. Not only can you wager on football, playoff baseball, basketball right around the corner. The NHL is in full effect in college football Saturdays. If you got the Vols plus 9.5, baby, you are taking Vegas for everything that they're worth, which is exactly what Superbook offers you the opportunity to do. Superbook Sports will match your first bet up to $1,000, whether it wins or loses. So download the Superbook Sports app today. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call the Tennessee Red Line, 1-800-889-9789. So what percentage chance do you give them of getting this thing done by August of 2026? Steel Titan says 30%. For Kyle G on YouTube, he says 80. Mark Jones, also on YouTube, is with him. Demetrius says 60. Lewis has him at a 49.9% chance. Well, I think you need to listen to John Cooper from his opening press conference statement, because I think a lot of this stuff is ground that he covered, but also for the purposes of why this was an important deal to get done under the new constraints.
It's good to see the Vice Mayor here and the chairman of our 5 committees that are going to principally undertake the review of the work that we're going to be talking about today. Good afternoon. Now, over the past 2 years, I've worked with the Tennessee Titans and our partners at the state to find a way to meet our city's current stadium lease obligation. And let me spend a moment to talk about our current lease. Under the original 1996 lease for Nissan Stadium, Nashville taxpayers are on the hook for stadium maintenance and improvements. To keep that facility in first-class condition. Now, the facility has fallen out of that condition, and the current lease runs until 2039. Now, Nissan Stadium requires substantial improvements to fulfill the legal obligation to the team under the current lease. And it's well known that we initially pursued a renovation strategy, believing that simple renovation would be financially more prudent. But we learned during this process that a renovation would be much more expensive than we initially thought.
So they've said that the timeline is 2026. And I think that the idea of mass transit is going to be, Bork Borkington says a lot of lawyer speak in there. Well, sure. I mean, it does not, what does it benefit him before they get Metro Council approval, which, by the way, has yet to happen. They do have the state's, blessing on this, which is a rare enough thing because, of course, if you are a Nashville or Davidson County resident, you know that the mayor of Nashville is a Democrat. You know, of course, that the current governor, Bill Lee, is a conservative, and that they have been pretty embattled on a regular basis about everything but this. So the state has lent itself to the city's cause, and for the rare, moment in Nashville, Tennessee, Nashville and Tennessee, two separate entities, Nashville city government and Tennessee state government, the rare opportunity where there is unity on this for them to be able to figure out a plan to get this moving forward. It's why the state has agreed to participate in the funding. It's why they did not put the Adams family on the hook for more than the $700 million that they initially liquidated the assets for to commit. It's why the city of Nashville is not putting additional local tax burden on them. But I do think that it is ambitious. We are less than 4 years away from August of 2026, if you're doing the math in your head. It's a really, really difficult thing when you look at all the different situations regarding construction that the city is already experiencing, right? Significant delays. Now, by 2026, I would hope that a lot of the distribution issues that COVID has caused would be more ironed out than they obviously are in present day. Nashville as a city has seen a larger rate of rebound than a lot of places in the country, but obviously it's, these are raw materials that are coming from more outside of just Nashville, Tennessee, right? You're relying on a lot of different parts and pieces to try and get this thing done. Sounds like they started already. Well, they obviously haven't, James, because they haven't broken ground on anything. This was just the agreement in principle, an official agreement in principle between the mayor of Nashville on behalf of the city government and the team to be able to move forward with the current proposal that they have at hand. It still has to be approved by Metro Council, as I mentioned. No construction in and of itself has started. They have started taking bids, obviously, on the construction from different commercial building enterprises to be able to participate in this. And that is all something that has been in the works because, they wouldn't get out there and do this if there wasn't plans to move forward with it by then anyway. Derek will be in a body bag by 2026, the way we abuse him. It's got nothing to do with the current iteration of the Tennessee Titans. Derrick Henry's not going to be on the roster in 2026. Mike Vrabel may not be the coach in 2026. John Robinson may not be the GM in 2026. There's a million different things. The only thing that I know is going to be in place is the Adams family, because they've put a bunch of money into this specifically so they can own the rights to how big a revenue generator this is going to be, not just for the city, but also for the Adams family. This is a huge asset for them. That's the only certainty of who's going to be on, a part of this team as you currently understand it to be. It's got nothing to do with the product that they're putting out on the field right now. Although the recent playoff success has continued to help them do this in a more sustainable way. The transit plan is a difficult situation because the transit plan is something that the city of Nashville has already voted down when they were in the process of bidding on H2Q or HQ2 for Amazon. Was that 5 years ago? Maybe 4 years ago? It's a pretty complex situation, but they do believe that they will now, in getting the land back from the Titans for Nissan Stadium, that they will be able to create Mayor Cooper called it a new spine for a light rail system that will be more feasible than the situation that they currently have. Again, it has to be voted on and it has to be approved. It's not something that just comes to pass like that. And transit will be, there's no question that it is going to be a nightmare to get in and out of Nissan Stadium for these games. The parking is going to be non-existent. There will be no tailgating, hardly to speak of, because the place where they're building this stadium is where current tailgating takes place. They are looking at new WeGo, the Metro bus system, additions to be able to make that kind of public transit more feasible on game days, but it's going to be a shit show. No matter how it is that they do it, right? Because of the difficulties. It's a great location, but for a construction plan on top of continuing to play NFL games in the current building, it's going to be a nightmare. There's no avoiding that whatsoever. The thing that I think a lot of stadium plans deal with is relocation for current residents, but as Mayor Cooper said, the beauty of the situation is nobody lives on the East Bank by the Titan Stadium. Like, there's no apartments there right now. There's no houses there right now. You have to cross 24 before you get to residences. And there's not a lot of, it's as far as the logistics go, it is almost a zero displacement plan right now, which is a big thing for those of you who live in other cities and states where NFL teams have physically moved people, because, they're going to plant SoFi Stadium in the middle of Inglewood, where there's not a ton of things in Inglewood anyway, but, they did displace a fair amount of people in Inglewood to get this thing done, and not to mention the homeless community, which, of course, is suffering significantly in the city of Los Angeles. So there's a lot of different things that you have to go through on this, but I do think that while I understand people's financial limitations and, no more taxes are not a good thing for anybody, right? I do think that on the whole, it is a part of the planned growth of the city of Nashville. And that is the most important thing at its core, because they cannot stop growing. Once you stop growing, you start dying as a city. And that's not something that I'm glad to see that that's not something that the city of Nashville is considering. It's not on the table for them. They are growing. They understand that there are growing pains, but they are trying to find a way to grow reasonably, and they need to find a way to make the continued growth of this feasible to the people who live here. Right now, it's a bit of a toss-up. I think there's a lot of different things that this goes above and beyond to talk about. It's not just about the Titans game, obviously. It's about it's really the Titans games are a small fraction of this for what this means in long term for the city. So we'll see how it develops. And like I said, Mayor John Cooper is going to be on my radio show tomorrow at 12:15 Central Time. So you can listen to it on FM radio if you're here in Middle Tennessee. You can live stream it on YouTube because, by the way, we're in a new studio. They built a beautiful new, it's like a $2 million studio that they built for us in the Cumulus Nashville building. I'm fired up. Tomorrow's my first day in it. It looks drop dead gorgeous. And so you can live stream that on the Zone's YouTube page. I'm very excited about that. I like shiny new things. It's easy. It turns out it's real easy to buy me off with bright, shiny new things. If Austin and Zach are listening, not that I necessarily need anything new. I mean, because this is my office. No, I think I'm happy with everything in here. But if you wanted to make me happier, you buy me bright, shiny new things, right? That's how these things work. But getting a new stadium and studio, living the life, says Bryce Erickson. Well, listen, hell, you guys, I mean, I don't know where I'll be in 2026. I don't know where you're going to be in 2026. Now, I'm not saying that I'm going anywhere. I'm under contract for this football season and next football season, but there's no guarantee that I'll even see the new stadium, right? I think that's but we don't have to talk about those things yet. I got about a year and a half left on my deal. We'll get to those. We'll get to those things. We'll get to those things later on. I think that is the situation moving forward. Anyway, the White House, Buck, yes, straight to the White House. Buck 2026. No, that's not even an election cycle. 2024 is the next election cycle, so it would be Buck 2028, right? Well, I don't even know what the age requirements for the presidency are. I'm 30. I'm 29. I almost said I'm 30. I'm not 30 yet. Thank God. I'm 29. I assume that in 2028 I would still be ineligible, but this is a lot easier. Can you trade me? Says Dwayne Carroll. Oh, I don't know. Do you think they could get anything good back for me? I don't think that it's like saying, hey, let's trade who's a shitty asset on the Titans right now that they would like to get rid of. I can't think of a good one off the top of my head that comes to mind immediately, but it's, I don't necessarily think that I'm a tradable asset at this point. Tough scene right now. Anyway, that's let's talk. Speaking of shitty assets, let's talk about Josh Gordon. He's not on the roster anymore. Respectfully to Josh, let us discuss in the comment section on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. What were you surprised, or how surprised were you to see Josh Gordon released from the team's practice squad today? Never made it to the active roster in the more than a month that he was here in Nashville. We can talk about it. Yeah, Caleb Farley. That's a shitty trade asset. It's like Caleb Farley. You could try to trade Caleb Farley away for something, and everybody will look around at you and say, "Yeah, I don't want Caleb Farley. I'm not giving you anything for Caleb Farley." That's kind of how I feel like it would go for me. But also, I think I would do just as well in coverage as Caleb Farley has done lately, because I too can fall down while a wide receiver runs past me for a 75-yard touchdown. Respectfully, anyway. How surprised were you to see wide receiver Josh Gordon released from the team today? We will talk about it together as we wrap up the primetime show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. Right after I remind you that the place that you go to get your fitness journey started is True Mav Fitness here in downtown Nashville. A fantastic program designed to maximize your fitness goals. Whether you are just trying to shed some pounds, whether you're trying to get physically bulkier, whether you're trying to just find a healthier weight to get to and to have more flexibility of motion, there are any number of ways that True Mav Fitness will help you reach those goals. They have the boot camp style classes, 45 minutes in length. They have them in the morning. They have them in the afternoon. They have them in the evening. You can go any time of day. Real easy to schedule one in the Mind Body app, the same way that I do it. They have personal training. If you want a one-on-one, more focused and tailored experience to you, they offer that as well. And on top of it all, they have an open gym concept as a part of your membership at True Mav Fitness. You can go try it for yourself. I highly recommend it. TrueMavFitness.com to sign up for your first class free as a Middle Tennessee resident. It is a spectacular opportunity for a lot of us, like me, trying to get to 200 by Super Bowl. Maybe 200 by Super Bowl by the time the Super Bowl comes to Nashville in 2028. Who's to say? But we were 215 this morning, and True Mav Fitness is helping us get there. TrueMavFitness.com. So, let us talk about the Josh Gordon experiment. Now, Mike Vrabel spoke today for the first time since last Monday, because the Titans have obviously been on a bye, about the Josh Gordon experience. This was the head coach's comments. Let me tell you, they were brief.
What didn't work with Josh, Mike, as a project that you brought in, hoping to get something at receiver?
Just gave him an opportunity, and didn't see enough there, and went with another player.
It is almost funny how short it was. Almost as short as Josh Gordon's playing career here in Tennessee. I tried to tell you guys, that Josh Gordon isn't good enough to beat out Cody Hollister. Josh Gordon isn't good enough to beat out Des Fitzpatrick, who got called up in the last game against, who was the last game against? Where were we? Washington, against the Washington Commanders. Des made the active roster before Josh Gordon. And we know that the Titans coaching staff is no great fans of Josh Gordon. It is a situation where I have been trying to tell you guys that if Kansas City can't figure out how to make Josh Gordon work in 12 games, what on earth do you think the Titans are going to be able to do with him? The answer is nothing. He's not a good player at this point in his career. Even if they were a high-volume passing team, the guy can't play at the NFL level anymore. He's 31. He's not old by any stretch of the imagination, but he just doesn't have it. And I don't know. Derek R says Josh literally played in Buffalo, Buck. Yeah, I know. He played in a blowout, and his one target as a Titan came from Malik Willis because they were getting their asses kicked. And that's the only time. He also played against, was it the Raiders or was it the Giants that he got snaps in the end of the game against? I want to say it's the Giants because they were losing. I would have to go back and see it. The Titans aren't concerned about their wide receiver position. I'm not saying that you shouldn't be. I think that they should be more concerned than they are. But, my situation is I'm not looking around and saying, yeah, Josh Gordon is going to help the wide receiver situation. No, it's the same thing as Golden Tate last year. Golden Tate is not a good professional football player anymore. Doesn't matter. He's a body that exists in case you break glass in case of 91 players that have had to dress for a football team last year, as the Titans are continually on that track right now. I don't know why they're not more concerned about their wide receiver situation. Maybe, Treylon Burks is obviously on IR, so that's not something he has to miss 3 more games. So that's what? That's Indy, that's at Houston, and then that's home Broncos? No, home Kansas City. So he will miss those 3 games. Remember, it's not 4 weeks, it's 4 games that he's required to miss as a part of the IR situation. So it's not like they're getting anything better. They got some dude today who is a local product from Memphis. But he's not going to beat out Cody Hollister. Like, Cody Hollister is your wide receiver 4, whether you like it or not. That's what they do here. And I can't give you a better explanation. The trade deadline is still about 2 weeks away. I believe November 1st is this year's trade deadline. At this point, DJ Moore would be a lovely asset. But, I honestly think that if they're going to be inclined to trade for anything, it would be for an offensive lineman, because Dennis Daly is absolute dog shit at left tackle through these first couple of games without Taylor, and they can't sustain. It doesn't matter who they trade for at wide receiver if Ryan Tannehill is getting smoked the way that he has been. The left tackle situation, really the left side of the offensive line situation, is far more important for them to rectify right now than their wide receiver woes. So, I think all that in mind, they're going to try to win games with defense in the running game, and that's who they are, and that's what they do. And there's certainly no indication that that's changing right now. So how surprised was I to see that Josh Gordon was released off the practice squad today? Not one iota, because I watched Josh Gordon in practice. I've seen every snap that Josh Gordon has played after going back and watching his tape with the Kansas City Chiefs. I know Josh Gordon to not be a good football player in the last couple of years. And I don't know why it takes everybody else that much time to see it, but I understand that your angst is not about Josh Gordon. It's about, you want better wide receivers. And right now, better wide receivers are not, they don't seem like they're in your long-term game plan. That's going to do it for us tonight on the Primetime Show. Get you back in time for the second half of Monday Night Football between the Chargers and the Broncos at SoFi Stadium. Radio show tomorrow, as I mentioned, 10 to 1 on 104.5 The Zone. Mayor John Cooper will be in studio with me at 12:15, and we'll enjoy that conversation together. Primetime tomorrow night if we miss you on the radio show. And, we'll do it again, as we always do, at 8 p.m. Central Time or thereabouts. See you guys.
All right, we haven't scored a point since I came in here. I am gone, guys.
What?
That's it?
We got a couple more questions.
No,
that's it.
Peace out by the GM.